ladies and gentlemen, this is SSC bringing a continuation of this series from the Seat Story Cup. In the top left hand corner of Habitation Station, as our blue Zerg player, it's going to be Team Liquid's TLO. In the top right hand corner is our red Terran, and also from Team Liquid, it's going to be Bunny. So it is a TVZ series, and it's been quite a dynamic series thus far. Not the longest of the games, all of them reaching about the mid-game point in time, but very dynamic action-packed games as both these players just exhibit their aggressive personalities. So hope you guys have buckled in. I have no doubt that game 4 will be more of the same. Be interesting to see just what sort of strategy is employed in this game. Bunny showing us he's willing to mix it up with a proxy racks in game number 3. Unfortunately was unable to pull it off. LiquidTLO just so good at defending those style of attacks. Some of the best critical thinking and problem solving that we see in SC2 nowadays. Honestly, TLO, one of the great innovators of Zerg play, just very hard to catch him off guard and succeed with those sorts of strategies. But noble attempt that it was. Unfortunately, Bunny has ended up in this 2-1 position, so needs to make it work here in game number 4. Seems like TLO is going for a slightly more conservative opening in game number 4. Actually going to be grabbing his spawning pool first. And I like this choice from TLO. It's going to put him in a position where he can be a little bit more aggressive, just that little bit faster. Habitation Station, of course, features these high yield mineral patches, and if Terran can get and secure these, it is very difficult to knock them out of sync. Obviously those high yield minerals does fuel quite an aggressive mid game, so always want to prevent the Terran player, well any player, from taking those, but particularly Terran, which have such a mineral heavy barracks units that they like to rely on. You really want to shut down that high yield, ensure they can't take it, and try and force them to use these bases down the far right hand side of the map. Overlord's going to get a nice scout off and take up position for a future scout. A second Overlord actually moving out through the middle. I think this is a result of game number 3. Those proxy racks, obviously TLO wanting to avoid those sorts of shenanigans here in game number 4, wanting to scout them out just a bit earlier, sends that Overlord out. Though he does detect that all is well and truly above board. First Reaper on its way as expected. We have a Queen almost finished up in the main base though, and Reaper unlikely to do a whole lot more than scouting. The Reapers in game number 1 certainly did give Bunny quite an advantage. Managed to use them to great effect, killed a few drones, and forced quite a lot of Zerglings. So it was quite good Reaper control there. But this map a lot different to game number 1. Obviously Habitation Station has a very limited avenue for the Reaper to exploit, can only really jump up and down along this ledge, and it's quite easy to defend that with a Queen. Can poke away at this hatchery, but with the small damage that the Reaper does, could well poke away there all day and do very little. So Zergling's going to be on the way, or actually not on the way yet, a few more drones still on the way. Zerglings and Queen's going to be able to force this back quite quickly, and the Reaper's going to call it a day and live to fight another day. Bunny throwing down a factory behind his barracks, so we could well see a 1-1-1 style opening. Expansion being thrown down on the low ground, so pretty bold, but Terran players tend to be sending out the Reaper to allow them to do this sort of play. A Reaper out in the middle of the map means that Zerglings can't harass and cancel that base. 2 Reapers here going to mean that Bunny can put on just a bit more pressure than he otherwise might have, and 2 Reapers will 2-shot drones, so very important that you micro these Queens well, otherwise the Reapers will slip in and pick those off. TLO having gone for a very Queen heavy opening, we already have 3 in play and a 4th one about to pop in the main. meaning TLO is going to use 2 of those for the injects and 2 of those to get the creep spread nice and quickly. So creep spread obviously always important in a Zerg matchup, but I personally I really like the 2 Queen strategy for pushing the creep out. It does let you get just a massive edge on the creep spread. A lot more substantial than otherwise would if you go for the minimal 2 or 3 Queens. Reapers here unable to do a whole lot other than scout, and actually unlikely to make it up into the main unless Bunny chooses to sacrifice one or both of them. So these Reapers unable to get a scout off, though the most important thing for them to scout is actually at the front door. We have the Roach Warren coming up now, actually have a Baneling nest coming up as well, and this is quite indicative of TLO going perhaps for a Roach Baneling timing attack. Bunkers are being, well, supply depots starting to form this wall off, but TakeTV already in a position to start mass producing roaches should he so desire, and this aggression could take Bunny well and truly off guard. He's gone for a third command center very quickly, and this is perhaps the worst situation he could be in. TLO gearing up for what, and 8 roaches on the way, gearing up for what definitely looks like a roach baneling bust. Wall-off not finished yet. Bunker going to be thrown down here, but 3 CCs is very greedy. The only production Bunny has is this factory and a barrack, so not a lot of units going to be on the way yet. The Reapers and Hellions would have liked to be aggressive. Unfortunately, with 8 roaches making their way across the field, not going to be a lot of options for them there. Baneling nest already down. Still on hatchery tech, so no layers on the way. It looks like it. TLO very much committing to this attack. Going to throw down a few Evo chambers, so just in case the attack doesn't succeed, going to be able to grab those later game upgrades. But TLO not wasting any time. 1 Marauder in the bunker is going to be trying to hold this off. One nice micro is going to keep that roach alive and force the SCVs off the line to repair it. We have a 2nd and 3rd bunkers going down. A few Widow Mines going to be taking up position here, but TLO potentially able to just bust straight through here. 2 Banelings already on the way. A few more Zerglings could morph if they so choose. And TLO actually electing to cancel one of those Banelings, so a very interesting choice from TLO, and throwing down expansion the high yield. So it's an interesting choice for TLO. I would have thought he would have committed to this aggression, but he seems content to go for the soft contain, just try and hold Bunny in his base as much as possible. Production's still fairly limited. A few more barracks are on the way up. As this army tries to move its way around to the 3rd base, it is going to find out very quickly the 3rd base has been taken in the gold. TLO's creep spread allowing him to do that quite safely. Those bases already linked up, and the creep actually making its way across the map. These units going to try and force their way in. Zergling's already in position to trap it. Luckily for Bunny, he thought better of that. If he'd bitten off just a little bit more, he would have found himself caught between the roaches and banelings. So redefining the rock in a hard place cliche expression, that rock in a hard place would have been much preferable to the Zergling Baneling Roach sandwich that they very nearly became a part of. So Bunny here actually feeling confident enough to cancel these bunkers, and I think that's a pretty brave choice, moving this command center out to the gold. Bunny thinks he's in quite a strong position here, and I think he perhaps is a little bit premature with this choice. Half that force being cleaned up by the roaches, trying to get the aggression going down on the gold yield, but TLO going to close that off quite quickly with his roaches, able to move in from the low ground and the high ground. And +1/+1 finishing up now for TLO along with roach speed. So TLO has a number of options he could pursue here. He could safely mine off these 3 bases. Certainly wants to get aggressive and try and shut down this gold base as quickly as he can, particularly because Bunny has such a, well, terrible composition for dealing with what TLO has. TLO has mass roaches. To deal with roaches you need marauders, but both the Reapers and the Hellions do very little damage against roaches, so even the Widow Mines won't quite one-shot a roach, so got to be super careful here. And TLO going to try and move out with the Roach Scout. Is actually going to suck up that Widow Mine. You can see the Roach still alive even after that hit, so Roach is ideal for breaking these sorts of defenses. We have more roaches on the way, even a few Hydralisks coming up for TLO. 4 more roaches, 3 hydras, and the carapace upgrades. So 2-2 getting started for TLO, and he could well just run away with this here and now. Bunny trying to get in a position to defend this, but there's a nice roach concave here. Widow Mines detonate, but don't do very much damage. Banelings trying to move their way forward. Nice Widow Mine actually collects the rest of the Banelings, but TLO is just going for it. These roaches jumping on top of these Marines and Marauders. Marines doing virtually no damage to the roaches. All the DPS coming from this solo Marauder. We have more reinforcing Marines trying to make their way out, but roaches already up in the gold base. These are going to be a little bit of an irritant to these SCVs that are trying to harvest. The remainder of the roaches and hydras going to make their way up. SCV is going to be forced off the line here as these units collect what little remains of the Terran army, and so many SCVs are going to go down here. It's SCV genocide as TLO goes to work in the SCV line of Bunny. Bunny trying to hold it off with Marines, but Marines just not enough to deal with the roaches. Medevac going to go down. Oh, Yep, and it does go down. The Hydralis with its dying breath managing to clean that. Massive stream of Roaches and Hydras continuing to pour through, and the real question is how can Bunny defend this? I think he's going to struggle to. Hydra's doing a lot of damage to the command center as the Roaches try to pick off the SCVs that are trying to repair it, and I think this is bad news for Bunny. Marines and Marauders trying to reinforce, but there's not enough Marauders. All Marines just going to get eaten all day long by this very roach heavy force of TLO. Can Bunny get enough units to try and hold it is natural. There's a siege tank here and is exactly what he needs. Unfortunately, high ground vision is going to allow TLO to pick that off, and he probably should have kept picking off from the low ground. It will go down there, and that's going to substantially make life easier for TLO. Bunny would love to have another tank or two to try and hold that off, but should he hold this ramp, it gives TLO the map advantage. He needs to take a fourth base already finishing up here at this location. Gas already being taken. TLO is going to be able to macro quite hard. It's currently 160 supplied at 94, and it's looking to be a very tough hold for Bunny. It's StarCraft all about the decision making, and Bunny unfortunately doesn't have a lot of decisions left at this point. Unable to move out and secure a third base. Left with trying to defend two bases. Main base almost mined out now. We can see on its last 500 or 600 minerals per patch. Natural expansion is going to quickly follow suit. Particularly with all these mules, we'll see Bunny completely mined out in the next 2 to 3 minutes. So, the question is, can he get enough to hold this off? And TLO knows he's got the map control. Is even throwing down a fifth base. So, things looking a little bit grim for Bunny. He really needs to make something happen with those drops that we saw moving out. But unfortunately, even should a drop move out, it's going to leave this defense very, very thin. Third base trying to come down now, but plenty of roaches in position. And Bunny's going to go for it. He wants to defend this third base, but that's exactly the sandwich TLO wants. Going to try and wrap around this force. Two tanks on the high ground. These are going to rack up a lot of damage here. Marines and Marauders stimming up to try and deal with these roaches, but unfortunately there's just too many Zerg units here. Able to pick off one of the tanks, but not the second. 14 kills on this siege tank, because the siege tank just does so much work here. This CC burns down. I think that might be the final straw for Bunny, as he's almost unable to expand now, hovering 115 minerals. We can see TLO just able to bank up so much. Bunny going for the counter attack here, and as he sees TLO fall back, deciding to move out with a drop of his own, needs to clean up some of these expansions, but I think the Zerg army is already going to be in position to try and clean this up. Dropping on top of the Spore Crawler, one medevac will go down, units still inside it. Not an ideal position. Bunny does tap out as TLO gets a complete surround on those units. So a noble effort from LiquidBunny, but unfortunately falling before the might, that is LiquidTLO. So nice win for TLO. He's going to progress into the semi-finals, and unfortunately Bunny's run ends here, but the Seat Story Cup will continue with more semi-final action. So guys, tune in here on Aussie StarCraft, plenty still to come. If you enjoyed the game, by all means give it a thumbs up or share it with some of your friends on Facebook, Twitter, or social media site of your choice. And we look forward to catching you in the next series of games. Don't forget to tune in. We do have the GSL going on at the moment. The round of 4 will start about an hour from the time of casting this, so always check in at the Blizzard WCS website. It'll give you a schedule in your local time of when all those games are, so you can catch all the action there as it happens live. So thanks guys, hope you're enjoying it. We'll catch you in the next cast.